everyone, and welcome to the Omega Files. And no, this has nothing to do with the November elections. Oh, good. Tonight we're going to sit down, have a little talk about another Big Finish box set that came out a little while back, Doom Coalition. And this is the beginning of a whole other series of tales. Matter of fact, Doom Coalition 2 just came out recently. And it introduces a very interesting villain, a Time Lord who literally has mental problems that make the Master look sane. Okay, let's go ahead and get everybody's intros real quick. Let's get hey there, hi there, ho there, from everyone. Let's start with AJ.
Hello, everyone from Down Under.
William.
Hey, how you doing, everybody?
Graham.
It's Saturday night and I'm out of whiskey. Good to be here.
All right, Texas Tim.
Hello there.
And joining us for the first time from beautiful sunny California, Susie.
Hi, I'm Susie Foreman. Hello.
Okay, well, I don't know. Very interesting group of tales. And the villain, like I said, he's very riveting. He's kind of scary. You know, I can't even describe. All right, let's get your guys' side. Let's start with opening thoughts. Let's go around. Let's start with William this time. Opening thoughts on the Doom Coalition.
I was totally surprised about this first box set because I thought at first there was just 4 parts. One about this, I didn't know it was going to go into 4 box sets. But then listening to the second and third and fourth stories, you find out how he's building up and how other adventures he's deep going into, and some of it leads to the 11, and I think one just barely mentions the 11. So for the first box set, this is a great start for a new set of stories for the 8th Doctor, and I can't wait to listen to the other ones.
Okay, let's go to Texas Tim.
Yeah, I would agree with that. This is a good box set. It's got a lot of variety to it in the kind of stories that they're telling. It's not all just one story. The stories are only a little bit loosely connected. Like one ends and it goes into the next one, but it's not like one big story, 4 parts. It's 4 different stories. I think it's only let down a little bit by the last story. I think is a bit could have been better. I think a better ending to the box set. But on the other hand, this is the first of a few box sets, so it's just the beginning of the story. So it's a good listen. Okay, next up, Susan.
I really liked how they started with the 7th Doctor in this, and so it gives it sort of like a beginning point and then a long-term play out, and yeah, it's fun to hear. It's fun to hear a build up like that, like one thing after another after another. It just makes it much more, dramatic anyway. So that's what I got.
Okay, Graham.
I can only concur with what's been said so far. Great start to a new saga for McGann's Doctor. Pretty much, it's not the standard format that we had with Archives, but what it does do with McGann's Tales is it's like a lot of these formats these days, it begins to drip feed you information as you go through each story to entice you, hook you in, and leave you wanting more. I'd concur with Tim that the 4th story, I wouldn't say it was bad, but it probably was the weakest of the 4. Convoluted and maybe a wee bit, all over the place, but it doesn't make it bad, but it could have been a wee bit tighter. But all in all, I enjoyed this. This is a good start and a really, really, really interesting new concept of a villain with regards to the 11th.
Okay, and AJ.
Yeah, I got to agree with the last 2. The first 3 stories are pretty strong, but the third one sort of did drip and drab throughout that story, but overall it was a good box set.
Yeah, I agree with you. The 4th story did kind of drag a bit. It kind of slowed things down. Just you build up that momentum, and then you're getting towards the end, and So I can agree. Yeah, 4th was definitely the weakest of the whole group. But let's go ahead. Let's talk about I'm going to leave the floor wide open for this one. Let's talk about the new companion he's picked up. Just for this box. I think she's going to be in the next one. Helen Sinclair. You want to flip up on her?
Well, what's interesting about her is. If you look at her backstory, we're working in the museum in the 1960s. As mentioned in the behind the scenes, it's similarly mirrors Verity Lambert struggle with the big wigs at the BBC. The whole boys' club mentality and the whole, working for the outdated old men. So I found that quite interesting.
Well, what I was thinking yesterday was that she's so different from our other girl from the same time, Polly. Polly's a hip chick from the time, and this chick is a more of a brainiac, kind of thing. So it's a whole different kind of person, even though it's the same time period. But yeah.
I noticed that on 2 occasions she's her curiosity almost got the best out of her, and she needs to listen to the doctor, start wandering off away from them, especially when they went back to see Galileo. So they don't.
Well, I'd cut some slack there. Well, it's her first trip in the TARDIS. She's got to learn, I mean.
Well, her one mistake was she was wearing something she's not supposed to have at that time period.
Yeah, well.
I was just wondering why they felt they needed to have a second companion for him, because it seems like sometimes that can be more of a burden than a help when you're trying to make a story.
I mean, he's not had 2 in there since Carly and Kerez. So,
yeah,
it's been a while. Why not? Why not try something different?
Yeah, why not? I'm not against it. I just thought it was odd choice to do that now. But I mean, we never know what's coming up down the pipeline. And sometimes these actors are busy, so they might want to.
Yeah, that's probably the answer right there. Maybe later on, one of these actors might be busy, so you might go back to seeing Afe and one of them, and the other one might, is too busy to do the story.
Yeah,
it's interesting. She was really necessary for the second part of the story, though, because of the whole museum, because of the whole. This is what the art is doing. That character was so integral. I mean, like, completely necessary to the development of that story. So I really liked her a lot.
Yeah, she saves them at the end of that one, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because if it wasn't for her, they would have been conquered. So.
And I've got to say, while we're talking about the Red Lady here, huge props to John Dorney. What a freaking brilliant psychological thriller that was. One of these things that it's left into the interpretation of the listener. There isn't a valid description of the thing, and it's a mind trip. It really is.
The Red Lady reminded me a bit of the Mummy on the Orient Express a bit. So whenever someone perceives it, they're in immediate danger.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I was listening to the story.
But you notice that after they first see it, they become obsessed that they want to go back and see it again. They can't like go home and go to sleep like that. All they think about is that portrait.
Kind of like an old episode of Night Gallery or something.
Yeah,
the painting. Every time you look at it, it's moved a little bit. You're like, really?
Might be a little bit of that.
Yeah.
What it reminded me of more than anything was there was a Stephen King short story, and I can't remember which book it came out in. It was called The Road Virus Goes North, where this guy has this painting, and something very similar is happening in that painting to what happened with the Red Lady in this story. That's what it reminded me a lot of, because I just read those not too long ago.
I think you're right, Brian. I think the producer mentioned that in the behind the scenes. That was one of his source materials. So
The Road Virus Goes North. That's what.
Yeah, I think that was in Nightmares and Dreamscapes.
That rings me a bell. Yeah.
Yeah, but I like the way, I kind of disagree. I think Helen was really good in this story, in all these stories, because it kind of gave someone for Liv Chanka to kind of relate to and bounce off of. Here you got a lady from the 60s. You got Liv Chanka, who's from a med technician from the future, and it was really nice to see the way they interacted throughout this whole thing. It kind of gave someone to bounce off other than the doctor.
It also gives you a nice contrast, whereas you've got Helen, the happy-go-lucky brainiac, compared to, all right, Nicola Walker as Liv Chanka. She's mellowing a wee bit, but for her backstory and her past with the trauma she's went through, you've got a nice contrast there while she somewhat mellows out, So.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question about that. I thought that she had some kind of from Dark Eyes. Did they fix that? She had some kind of terminal illness. Yeah.
She was exposed to some type of, I can't remember the ins and outs. I'd have to double check, but she was exposed to something as a result of the eminence, and it got wiped.
Oh, okay. So she's good as new then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for you folks out there who have no idea what we're talking about, I know because I don't think Susan listened to it yet. Dark Eyes was the series that, of course, came before this one. There you go, reference.
Yes.
I've heard of it, but I haven't honestly had the nosh to stick it on my computer yet.
You know,
Start you off at the beginning of the 8th Doctor adventures and work your way up. You'll get hooked on them.
I've listened to all of the major series of the 8th Doctor adventures. All the stuff with Lucy Bleeding Miller and some of Charlotte Pollard, and so I am a little up to speed. I'm a very big audio fan, but I haven't done much with the other Doctors, and I have a lot of catch up to do, and it's not fair that Big Finish keeps making more and more and more good stuff. And Dark Eyes, I've heard, was just brilliant.
It took me like a year to catch up, something like that.
I'm still catching up. You know, I just got to deliver it today. But I don't mind. I could wait. I don't mind waiting to hear them good stories.
All I've got to say is, with regards to Dark Eyes, hello you. Anyway,
you know, this is the funny thing because this story introduced the 11, a new villain for the 8th Doctor.
Yeah.
But in the, like Susie said, you know, in the beginning of this first story, you hear the 7th Doctor imprisoning him. Now, I hope someday they do make a story of that when he got caught by the 7th Doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, they must have had a good battle between those two alone.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's interesting about that wee McCoy cameo at the beginning of the first story? It's all the way through this box set, you're under the impression that it's the 11th out to seek his revenge for his imprisonment. And then you find out at the end of the Satanic Mount, there's more to this game than meets the eye. And that's what carries there. So I found that interesting. It wasn't his...
it wasn't his revenge. Like something he wanted something else.
Yep.
In the first story, it's a bit Silence of the Lambs as well. Whenever the young lady comes to interview him, it's really a pity what happens to her at the end of the episode. He's just like, you're gone.
Kiera was her name. Yeah.
Well, lucky for her, you know what happened to her, because they would have been questioning her like she was the one that helped them escape and stuff.
And of course, we have the glorious return of the Mind Probe.
Well, I like that twist.
Mind Probe.
No, not the Mind Probe.
Oh, that poor bloke for the 5 Doctors. Oh, man.
And just for your Time Lord convenience, it'll fit neatly over your skull cap.
But what I like in the throughout the story, some of the 11's incarnations actually sound sort of like the Doctor's incarnations as well. Like one sounds like Tom Baker, one sounds like Tennant, one sounds like McCoy even.
It really is good. Matt Bonner was absolutely dead on the money with the impersonations, because to give an actor 11 different manifestations to play of the one character, you'd be like, they better pay him overtime, man. But he was bang on and he was spot on the money. Much better than...
I don't think I ever heard 11 incarnation. I know I heard he always screams at 8 when 8.
Yeah. 8's the run to the letter. He's always told to shut up, but I thought that was just a play on because he's against McGann, you know. 5 seems to be the psychopath, but
and 3.
Yeah.
Well, 1 and 2, I haven't heard that much from them.
No.
And then 7, I forget what 7 does.
Well, we've got 3 more box sets to go, boys. Just settle down. They'll surface. You know.
No, but when the girl was questioning him, each one of them was talking.
Yeah. But I like that bit in the first episode whenever, because the Time Lords are just being so rude to Liv Chenka and acting like they're so, and come to find out she's the only one that can see what's going on when they're looking at it because she's a human. So, that's a pretty cool twist.
And while we're on that, I want to give praise to Nicola Walker and Matt Bonner again for that first story when they're chained up together with the chain and ball, and they're bouncing off of one another with the banter.
Yeah.
She's always good, even when she was with Alice McQueen in the last set. Just funny stuff, Nicola Walker. She's brand new. and you know. And you get another sample of that in story number 3 of box set number 2. But of course, that's for next week.
That's next week. Mm.
Yeah.
It was sad to find out that Galileo's daughter was dead. Right?
Yeah.
But I know I thought it was her. You know, she was just tricked into it, but she was another being.
Yeah, the Galileo trap. Not a bad story. Huge props to John Woodvine for a good portrayal. Galileo here. He's one of the actors that's been around for a while. So
maybe attached to his dogs.
yeah.
I can't believe he almost started crying, man. Like, you gotta be kidding me.
I like the wink and the nod to the recorder lessons too. That was
Oh yeah, Power of the Daleks throwback. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
He was represented well on that one.
Mm-hmm.
What was the names again of the two bounty hunter aliens? Cleaver and Virginia.
Yeah.
She was playing the nun, and he was the.
Well, that was the name. That was her human disguise.
Yeah, I know. I'm not even going to begin to pronounce the alien ones. And then, of course, we had Cyber Robocop, who got devoured and came back as version 2.0. But
Oh yeah, Cavalli.
Yeah.
I find it weird that they use the Volk brood for bounty hunters. You know, people that literally eat your soul. Why would you put them on a planet full of people like this?
You know what? I mean, that was an interesting concept. It was something different. Even though I've seen complaints that the sound effects for the voices are bog standard alien type voices. No bad concept in terms of what they've done to people.
Yeah, but you get that even if in the TV series, don't you, with the voices?
Yeah, you know. So.
How do you do alien voices though without being an alien? I mean, that's the real beauty of this show, of our show. It's rich and dramatic, and the voices are awesome, and that's what's really great about the audio. It's like it's all voice.
Well, I think Nick Briggs has come up with quite several. I mean, he doesn't just do the Daleks. He does all kinds of voices for different aliens and stuff.
Oh.
It's got to be difficult. I mean, when they create a new creature or whatever, what does it sound like? Because this is audio. They have to come up with something. And yeah, even if it is bog standard or whatever, then still, I mean, that's really not the point. You know, they've got to, if it's an interesting story, that it all works out. You know.
Yep.
I'm a bit confused. Maybe somebody can answer this. If you notice, if you're a Time Lord and then the first or second time you have regenerated, and all of a sudden you're hearing your past incarnation voices, wouldn't you try to do something to either cure it or get rid of it or something like that, instead of him waiting all the way to the 11th incarnation? You know, that he goes way off base.
Well, it wasn't specified when he started hearing them. It might have been when he went to 11. You never know.
Yeah.
It wasn't only that he was hearing them. It was that they were speaking through his voice instead of just remaining like in the background. They were actually making manifest through his personality, and it was so United States of Terra. I don't know. That's an American show that's got a lead character that's got multiple personality disorder or that kind of differentiation personality disorder. I don't know what it is, but anyway, she yeah, it's like the manifestation of that is, I mean, I imagine that you'd all hear that all the Time Lords would hear their old ones in their head, but that they would assert themselves through them and you know.
Well, it's an interesting concept because he isn't a good person, and he apparently hates his other lives or selves as well. Because I thought, well, what would it be like if this happened with the Doctor? At the end of the day, the Doctor's all of his selves would never fight for whatever body he's in, because I guess he respects his previous self. You know what I mean? Like he knows he's the same person. This guy, on the other hand, it seems like all 11 of them are fighting for control of the body.
Yeah,
and some of them are quite ruthless. Some are real bastards. So it's
yeah, I'd agree with that, Tim. Use the B word. But I also found it interesting that as much as he's a schizophrenic sociopath, he's also quite forward-thinking in his approach. I mean, to mind manipulate or predetermine the Castellan prior to his imprisonment to set up his escape years later with a university intern.
Mm-hmm.
That takes a hell of a lot of patience, you know. So yeah,
Hypnotizing.
yeah.
Master.
That's another reason I agree with him. I love the scene of the adventure where Sylvester McCoy captures this guy because he obviously thinks like him.
Mm.
How he manipulated circumstances to get into the president's office with what you call and the mind probe and get all the info he needs, and boom.
And no, to mention all the artifacts of Rassilon. We had the rod, we had the sash. Hell, we even had something. We even had the urn, which got destroyed. Oh dear. Yeah.
And the musical thing, the
lock on the hidden door.
Yeah. That was weird.
Yeah.
And then he grabbed something from the Omega Vault.
The Codex. The
Codex.
Yeah, but just touching on the satanic mall, I know we said it was disjointed in some or other place. I'll give it props on one aspect. I quite liked the notion and the idea of the fella, the character's name escapes me, who only lived for the one day and ended up on the wheel, and he had no concept of the future.
Yeah.
And he went to break his ties that bind, so to speak. And the irony was, he'd done something different. It helped him out. It helped him escape. And he went and died anyway. Quality of lifespan anyway. So he got his one day just somewhat differently. Yeah. There you go.
Oh heck, I'm trying to think of his name too.
Yeah.
Was that Payne?
Payne.
Payne.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I was like, wait, I knew he had a name that kind of fit because the poor guy was injured. Payne, yeah.
Yeah, he was in a lot of pain all the way through that ordeal. Yeah.
Well, at least he died the way he wanted to do, doing what he wanted, not what
What they wanted, yeah.
No, the scariest part is I listen to this adventure and I keep thinking that somewhere out there right now there's a whole group of Whovians going, you see, the 11 didn't have any female incarnations.
Yeah.
Oh,
Not every Time Lord needs to have a different gender incarnation. It just happens.
Wait. We can't say that. You know why? That means we're gonna have to go back and listen to the story and write down which incarnation talk certain way. Are they because if there's a number missing, that could end up being the female.
Or one of those incarnation numbers might take a leaf out of Bruce Jenner's book. You never know, So.
I never heard of a fifth. I never heard 5. I think that's one number I never heard of 5.
No.
Maybe 5 was fruity. You never know.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, a banana on his lapel instead of celery.
Oh God, I was just thinking that sounds like the name of a punk Doctor Who fan band. The transsexual Gallifreyans.
Oh man. One thing you gotta give props about this box set, that the first story takes place in Gallifrey.
Yeah.
You hardly I mean, there's some story that the 8th went to Gallifrey, but at least this one he's in Gallifrey. I thought he was gonna go back in the second or third story, but he had to go see Galileo and deal with it.
A couple of the stories in the Dark Eye stuff was in Gallifrey as well. I mean,
that's a different box set.
No, but you're talking as if they hardly ever go to Gallifrey. They've been recently. I mean, with McGann. I mean,
The one thing I liked in the final story was when the 8th Doctor was chained up and he had the hat. They puts the hat on his head and he's like, "Oh, I haven't worn a hat in a generation." But it reminded me in the first story with McGann where he was chained up inside the TARDIS and the Master was trying to leech off his lives. It sort of reminded me of that.
I thought that was Launchpad McQuack's goggles or DuckTales, with
Is that why you're wearing the cool goggles there, Dr.
Yeah. Our good old buddy from California, old Mr. Star Risen. Anyway, that's a guy from Yeah.
Phone call. Oh well, so either way, interesting matchup, interesting set of stories. Anything else? Anybody?
I just wanted to say that redheads tend to be dangerous. I ought to know I am one. So, the lady with the red hair is just dangerous,
Yeah.
I noticed how Helen thinks that the Doctor favors live more than her, which is weird. Wait a minute, you only been there for like maybe a trip or two, and you're thinking that already about between those two?
Let's not go there. We don't want Nick Briggs getting threatening emails like certain other folk, you know.
Well,
I was gonna say I didn't get that vibe. I thought that they got
No,
along
that's
pretty
what Helen tells Liv when they're talking to get along.
good.
Because Liv does like what the doctor tells us that she's like adventurous and faces fear like that. So no wonder he favors you more than me. She said that. He said that. Like, what do you mean? You only had 2 trips with him. I gonna say that.
Yeah.
plus the fact, like it just popped into my head, about him picking her up in 1963, and they mentioned, basically, you better not run into yourself at this time.
Yeah, that'd be a good one. Yeah, just leaving the museum. Oh, look, Trotter's Lane. Where you going with that hand?
That's weird. Almost all of them are there, and all of them are there in 1963.
Yeah,
but they're not going to go into what's his face house and ask if the wife and kids have disappeared. So yeah.
Besides, what's the worst that would happen? He just go ahead, Susan.
Sorry, just be a good way to get Susan back in.
Besides,
I'm always trying to get Susan back in.
The worst thing that would happen, he'd just look at him and go, yeah, you, tunnel off and stop bothering me.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
That's not bad.
Yeah. Okay, we've been talking on for a little bit. Let's go ahead and rate the sucker and we'll put it away, shall we? Now you can do individual story, you can do whole box set. That's up to you. All right. Okay, let's start with AJ this time. How do you rate Doom Coalition 1?
I'll give it an again. A whole
All right,
box set.
8. All right. I can see that. All right, William?
I gotta do each story. The first story, the 11, I give that a 10. The second story, the Red Lady, I give that a 9.5. And the third story, I give that one a 9.5. And the Satanic Mill, I give that one an 8.5. And the entire box set, I give it a 9.
All right. Graham?
Very thorough there, Will. Okay, let's see. The 11th, 9. Red Lady, 8.5. Galileo Trap, 8. Satanic Mill, 7. Overall box set, 9.
All right. What about you, Susan?
I'll just do the whole box set since I'm not, I'll give this an Eccleston. I'll give it a 9.
All right. Well, all right. Texas Tim?
Yeah, as far as the individual stories go, I like the first 2 quite a bit. I would rate them pretty highly. The third one is good, and the whole thing is let down a little bit by the last one. But again, like I said before, this is just the first of many box sets, so it's hard to begrudge that last story for not being up to the same quality as the 3 previous stories. So overall, on the whole box set, I'll give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give the whole thing an 8.5. Yeah, the last story kind of drug. Third wasn't bad, but it could have been better. But the first 2 really topped it. But all right, but it just popped into my head now. The best part about the Red Lady is they never really explain what it was.
No, again, that's good. You could go back to that.
Yeah. Exactly. Sometimes it's best to leave things a mystery and not go over it.
Well, for most people, yeah, but some people, they never explain. Why did TARDIS blow up? All that,
Don't get me started on that. Okay, guys. Well, I guess that's pretty much it for this session. Next week, we're going to be taking a look at the second box set in this series, Doom Coalition 2. Ooh. And that one will also have River Song in it.
Yay!
It's no bad.
Yeah. Or as some of us know, the return of Miss Spritz.
Not so much. Yeah.
So until next week, everybody take care. Ta-ta. Enjoy the rest of your Hey, warmer weather's here. Goodbye.
Don't get drunk on St. Patrick's Day. Yeah.